Hey, hey, welcome to another episode of Moments with Nderru podcast, a space where you will be inspired, encouraged, and uplifted. For those who are listening on your preferred audio platform, I thank you. And for those who are watching on YouTube, I truly appreciate you. Today's guest is a wife, Co-Director of Marisha School, Next Gen Educator, Next Gen Pastor. Welcome onto the show, Audrey.
Thank you, Mudhoni, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
You know, when I hear words like next gen, what does next gen mean?
Next gen means the next generation, the children that are currently from, the ones that are being born to possibly 25 years old. So that's the next generation.
You know, it's interesting that you've mentioned the next generation, but sometimes we can get so caught up in our day-to-day lives and we just assume that we're just living for ourselves. So what drew you to that point where you knew that whatever I'm doing, whatever it is, that I am doing it for the next generation? And also when you were growing up, did you get inspiration from the generations that were ahead of you?
Yeah, so growing up, my teachers had a lot of impact on who I am like today. My older siblings, my parents, definitely, and even my Sunday school teachers and any adult that just took time to say something to me or lead me in some way. So then some of the things that I believe today were planted then when I was younger. So that got that possibly that is the time that a lot of things are formed for humans. So then when I started to work with children at school, I even started to see the impact that any interaction would have on a child, because then you find that children are more open, to conversations, are less formed. So then it leaves a lot of room for impact. When you speak to adults, it's different, because obviously people have formed their views and everything. So it's different. The conversation is different. So then wanting to make an impact in my life and in my generation, then it only was like beautiful to just work with younger children.
It's interesting to hear that how we can be influenced at a younger age through different conversations with the older people around us. And it just puts a seed within us where we know that we want to become X, Y, or Z. And for you saw the need to impact the next generation. So how did the dream come about to start a school, Marisha School? Take us through a journey if you can.
Wow. So what would I say? Well, so I went to school and did education. So at that time it was the thing for, okay, so what course do I want to do? And education seemed interesting. So then after that, when I started to now practice during my internship, I would see different children would come to my classroom, and needing different things. So there's the academic element, of just the math and whatever else that needed to be taught. And then there was a lot on the social and emotional development of the children. So when I started to work with children and to see that it was important that you teach them the math, definitely, but then for even them to be successful in the math, they needed some help with their social, emotional, and spiritual development. So then it just opened up a whole world for me, that how can we create spaces where children can get this kind of nurture, that they've come to school for the academic, for the cognitive development, but then can we have an environment that also supports their social, emotional, and spiritual development? So that is what started to burn, inside, and I started to think, okay, so what are the ways in which we can do this? So I started to engage in holiday camps, so then there would be spaces to do that, but then you'd find most holiday camps would just be the social, emotional, and spiritual, maybe, and not have the cognitive development. Yeah, so then just a school seemed like the one environment that you could incorporate all that nurture. So that started to birth the dream. And then I got a few opportunities to work with families, supporting them, families that had decided to homeschool their children. So in supporting them, I mean, it just became clearer that how about we do this, at a larger scale for more families. And that's where now the vision to start a school was birthed. Yeah.
It's so amazing hearing how people's dreams are birthed and how they come to life. And I know it hasn't been an easy journey, because I, being an entrepreneur and, pursuing that dream, no matter what happens, you just wake up one day and you're like, am I on the right path? These challenges are just too much. So for me, I know one of the things that keeps me going is faith. For you, how does faith play a role in your day-to-day life? And also, how does faith play in ensuring that you keep your dream going and you continue pursuing the vision that you were given by God?
Okay. So faith is a big part of my life, and faith in, many ways. So first, faith in God, faith in him having been the person that gave me the assignment. So believing that I have been sent, so that many times helps me go past my feelings, when I'm feeling discouraged or when I'm feeling tired. When I remember that I'm on an assignment, then it helps me to just rise up and keep going. And then there's faith in our children, faith in Africa, faith in just the impact that we can have, and just what we can create for the future of Africa. So that also keeps me going, just believing that we can have a better society for us. Then there's also faith in myself and my skills and my gifting. So, there are times that, I wonder, am I really the person for the job? And then I have to remind myself that, yeah, I actually am, and God qualifies the called, he's the one who gives the assignment. So every day I have to just, walk by faith sometimes, also walking by faith means walking and just believing for things that you haven't seen yet. So looking at situations and believing that, this can be that, this can be greater, this can be better. At a classroom level, even faith in, the children, maybe a child comes at the beginning of the term and is where they are at, and then you have a whole year. So believing that, we can make progress, we can make steps towards, growth for this particular child. So faith, I think, is just the one thing that when I start to lose faith, then I know now I just need to go back and look at what was it, what did God say, and keep reminding myself that I'm on assignment and I need to keep going. Yeah.
I like that. I am on assignment, and anything that is coming against that assignment is a distraction. If you can, share a challenge where your faith was tested and you are like, you know what, it's never that serious. This assignment, I can just put it on the shelf and just go back to my plan B or C. If you can share that challenge.
Well, I would say there's been many challenges, but maybe one I can share was the COVID, season. So yeah, so I think one of the big institutions to have been affected were the schools, right? Like in our country, schools were shut down. I mean, in most countries. So at that time, we tried, working with children from home, but at that time it was not clear. Like, are we ever going back to school? Is it? And when we do, what will that be? So I think at that time my faith was challenged, in that okay, there's the way in which we thought we should do school. So now, okay, what is really going on, and just it needed a lot of courage and faith to believe that we can still be innovative, we can still find ways of doing the assignment. So then we started to separate the mission and the how, the how of doing it. There was the how that we are used to doing school and education. So then it was important to now really separate. So as much as it was challenging, it was also liberating, because then I feel for me it really freed and separated the how and the mission. That even moving me away from brick and mortar limitations, that even when we don't have brick and mortar, it doesn't mean that learning can't continue, even when children can't come into a classroom, it doesn't mean that learning can't continue. So I think it was challenging, but we needed to just believe that God was still, on task and expecting us to be on task. So then the innovation to just go through that. So I think that was the most recent, I would say.
Yeah. COVID, I tell you, was, that blessing in disguise where you look back, you're like, you know what? I know it wasn't a good time, but also it awakened something in us to dig in deeper. And as you said, to be innovative, to look for different ways to fulfill the how instead of getting stuck on old strategies and old ways of doing things. So with that in mind, the innovation in the educational space, where do you see education in the next 5 years, and how does education play a role in the advancement of our continent, Africa?
Okay. Wow. In the next 5 years, what would I say? I think a lot of that will be determined by us, the teachers, and how willing and open we will be to different ways of teaching and learning. I know for us to be successful, we would definitely need to use a lot of technology, and not as a buzzword, but really, really incorporate learning. I think that there's a lot of content and experiences that children can have through technology. I think we would also need to really, really be intentional about nurturing and building relationships with the children, So as much as, there's the whole conversation on technology, I think still human relationships will have the biggest role, So then teachers would still, and educators would still need to build relationships and encourage children and really disciple them, so that they can even just be responsible around even that technology and many other things. So I don't think it will change very much, in terms of the core of education. But I would say for us to be successful, we would still need building relationships with the children that we are taking care of. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. It's all about relationship and making them recognize that whatever they're being taught is edifying them and building them up. And also just ensuring that, as you said, we're discipling them to be who God has called them to be. And with your younger self seated across you right now, how would you encourage her to know that God has fearfully and wonderfully made her, and that she has a calling on her life, which will be different from the person seated next to her, which will be different from her friends, how would you encourage your younger self?
Well, I would tell her that she's unique, and that God has wired her, uniquely, and put specific gifts in her, and that there's a specific assignment for her, that to help her to focus on her own lane, and just work towards growing as the person that God has created her. And I would also encourage her to be open, to different experiences, to read books, and just and develop a close walk with God, so that she can hear when God is leading and guiding in a certain direction. So I would tell her to also be brave, and just be open to adventure, basically. Yeah.
Yes, be open to adventure. This life is an adventure. You don't even know where the twists and turns are going to be, but you just have to keep on going. So how is it being a woman leader, being the co-director of your school? How has it been for you as a woman in leadership, as a woman steering the vision forward for the school?
I would say it's been a great experience, a learning experience for me. I think I started off, with the mindset that I'm an educator, and sorry about that. Yeah, and growing towards management, and now leading at an executive level. So those were interesting skills. So initially, it wasn't intentional. It was more, so we're a small, setup, and so I'm leading a team. So what that means is I need to create systems, because now they need to sort of replicate what we are doing. So then the management, role quickly just took over. And then after a while, you have to start thinking, so where are we going? Where are we going to be 1 year from now, 3 years from now? So then growing into strategic, thinking and planning. And so now leading at an executive level. So I think that has been a great experience in terms of just how I've grown as a leader. Sometimes getting feedback on how I lead, and really sitting with it and wondering, really, I just wanted to teach phonics. Like, what is this now? So yeah, so I think it's been a great journey of growth, and I really enjoyed that because then I have to keep growing, for the organization to grow. Then it means I have to keep working at it. So then I would say it's not been a bad experience. It's actually been good, because as long as there's room for improvement, then I think that keeps me going for, like, this is it. This is what I signed up for growth. So then it comes with the difficulty of it and the joy of it. So I would say it's a continuous journey. Leading in the education space is not very hard in terms of, it's not very foreign for a woman. So I think I get a lot of acceptance from the community, the society. Mostly, I think education sometimes is associated with, women. So in that way, there's a lot of reception, from the community and just the society at large. Yeah. So I would say it's been and continues to be a good experience for me. Yeah.
Where do you see Marisha School? What's the vision for the school? How many children do you want to impact? Let us see that bright future of Marisha School.
Yeah. Okay, so the vision is to have many schools So our model is to build small to mid-size schools so that they can actually have that community feel. All right. So to have what we call micro schools in different communities, because we are big on the family partnership. We're big on the community engagement, and just for children to feel that they belong to a community. So then that means just what micro schools in different communities. So the dream is to have as many as we can have, in different communities. Well, we haven't really articulated the number yet, but at this point, it's just making that model work, for having one community school that gives children a sense of belonging and families as well. So that we continue to, nurture and disciple these children in a community setting. Yeah. So that's the vision, so to speak.
May God bless that vision. And I like the model of it being at community level in different areas, because as you said, it's all about relationship and fostering linkages where the family unit is supported, the children are supported, and also the community is part of that process of building up the children. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask you random questions. Don't overthink.
Okay. I'll try.
So the first one is, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? You'll be surprised. The Sound of Music.
I love that movie. No, Sound of Music is the
Good.
best.
Okay.
What are your dreams and ambitions as Audrey?
As Audrey. My dreams, I think to be part of a awesome community, that is supporting children, families to just grow, know God more, know themselves more, and just achieve their purpose, and have wonderful experiences within community. So those are my dreams.
And if you could interview anyone in the world, alive or passed away, who would you interview?
I can't remember her name. So there's a female leader in one of the Caribbeans, I think.
Yes.
That is really, challenging the system and taking on, yeah.
Yes, Mia Motley.
Yes.
Yeah, for
I
me
think
also, she inspires me, the way she speaks, the way she commands a room. I'm just like, can I just sit down with you and just pick your brain just for a few minutes? Yeah, Mia Motley for Barbados. And in this final round of questions, how do you want to be remembered?
Wow. I'd want to be remembered as someone who loved God, and someone who loved people, and someone who helped people to know God and to know their assignment. Yeah.
Yes, know our assignments. Whoever is watching, whoever is listening, it is so important to know your assignment, because it keeps you focused. It keeps you not comparing your life with somebody else, because sometimes when we don't know what we're called to do on this earth, we get into this mode of thinking, oh, I want to be like Audrey. And since I can't be like Audrey, I start resenting Audrey and being jealous of her, when it's just like, come on, just know your assignment and stand in it boldly. So with that in mind, what is your parting shot? Is there anything that you still want to share with someone out there?
Yeah, I would like to encourage, anyone watching, anyone listening, that God loves you, and He has a unique assignment for you. So don't lose faith in your circumstances. Just keep looking to Him and asking Him to continue aligning your life and your desires towards the direction that He wants you to go. But He has good intentions, and that you will be successful. Yeah.
Yes, you will be successful. So thank you so much, Audrey. I want to appreciate you for coming on to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So, dear listeners, or whoever is watching, I've picked up one or two things from this conversation. For me, it's we all are on assignment. Do you know your assignment? And if you don't, take some time to just figure it out. And as Audrey said, God has got good intentions for you and you will be successful. So until the next episode, continue being brave.